Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is a video for newbies, for new people that have not been following the war very closely, and or maybe you're new to these channels reporting of the Ukraine war, so maybe you are not exactly clear what is exactly happening. So this video is perfect for you. So this is Ukraine, and as we all know, the Russians have invaded Ukraine in late February last year in 2022, and a lot has happened. So all those things that had happened, is not very important. Uh, Basically, if you want to know a quick one, is that the Russians first attack. Sorry, wrong color. Oops. First attack Kiev through Chernihiv, through Sumy. So this is Sumy region, this is Chernihiv region, and this is Kiev region, and the Russians attack in these directions. And in the south, they actually attack through Crimea. Crimea, they attack to Kherson, all the way reaching to the edge of Mykolaiv city, which is here. And then they spread out. They spread out to Enohoda, to Melitopol, and then they go to Berdyansk, to Mariupol. They go to the edge, form a line here called, which I call the Zaporizhia line, and from the east they actually invaded in this way. They invaded northward and captured the rest of Luhansk, and then from the north of Kharkiv they actually went down. They managed to go all the way south to Izium region, and this was pretty much what happened. And after that, the Ukrainians start to put pressure, and they start to fight back. They start to fight back along the entire northern front. They put pressure on Kharkiv. They stopped the invasion at Izium, and they also counterattack in the south to push back the Russians. And eventually, what happened was that the Russians actually withdrew. Withdrew out of the Kharkiv, the northern front, out of Sumy, out of Chernihiv, and after that they actually withdrew out of Kharkiv region as well. And then they got routed around the Izium Balaklia region, and then they actually withdrew to the where the current line is. And after that, they also did withdrew from the Kherson, everywhere around here. They actually withdrew south of the Dnieper River. So there's a river here, so they actually withdrew south. And currently, what we see now is the current front line, which actually is around something like this, and there is no fighting in all this region. So the Russians currently is attacking in multiple locations. They are attacking around here to try to recapture the part of Luhansk or Kharkiv region that they lost on the eastern side of the Oskil River, which is around here. So let me go closer, so maybe it's easier to understand. So this is the Oskil River, and let me show you. So this is the Oskil River. So there's this river around here, and whoops, and the Russians are actually attacking from the north here, but not very actively. They are actually attacking this way. This is how they are currently attacking, and the Ukrainians are also doing their own offensive in this region. They are also attacking this region. They are trying to push out. So in this front here, this area here, I call it the Kupiansk front, and this area here is called the Sviatove front, and this area here is called the Crimea front. So why Crimea? So let me show you. So this is Crimea city. So which is why the region here, this is actually Crimea front, up to perhaps Ploshchanka region and this forest region. Anywhere below here, this region here is actually the Sivers front. So no further up north, going around Sviatove, this is actually this area here is the Sviatove front, including this part. This area is just Sviatove front, because the Ukrainian objective in this region is actually to capture Sviatove, and they are attacking in multiple locations and trying to reach Sviatove and take this important transport hub. But the entire offensive have kind of stalled. So they are unable to do it. The only offensive that the Ukrainians are able to do is actually at Novoselivsky. This is the only place the Ukrainians are actually attacking, and the rest of the region, they are not exactly attacking. They don't really have the means to attack. This is the Kupiansk front, or the Kupiansk region, centering on Kupiansk, which is what the Russians may want to recapture. And with an important town at Vorishna, which is also across the Oskil River. So eventually the Russians will actually attack this area here, and they'll try to attack in this way, and eventually maybe they will have to cross the river, away from Kupiansk, to try to retake Kupiansk in the pincer. So, but no, this thing of course had not happened yet. The Russians do very limited offensive around this region, because the focus is not around here, because the Russians are not rushing to capture ground. They are more focused on trying to eliminate whatever the Ukrainians combat capabilities are, because the Ukrainians will throw their military capable troops, those that are really good at fighting, to the front to try to capture grounds. And the Russians actually take advantage of this reality that the Ukrainians have to take grounds to convince the Western partners, like the Americans, the French, the NATO allies, that they deserve more weaponry, which is why the Ukrainians are indeed have this pressure placed on them to need to take grounds, and capture more grounds, so that they can show that, you see, all the money that you spent on us, the military aid actually works. And so the Russians, as a result, they are not really in a rush. They hold a very strong position around this region. I think, and a kind of like, you can see that this is actually a very hilly region. You can see, this is the place. All this hilly region is where the Russians actually make their stand. So the Russians hold their ground around this region, making it extremely difficult for the Ukrainians to actually try to penetrate through, because fighting uphill is actually not easy, especially in this area so hilly. It's extremely difficult for the Ukrainians to actually make any successful advance. So moving down, Sviatove is a hub, because you can see that all the major roads links to Sviatove, and this is why the Ukrainians wants to take this place. However, there is actually, there's a major road going south from here to Petropavlivka, and then move all the way to Sviatove. This road is unusable because certain part of the roads is actually Ukrainian control. So the Russians still manage to use this road to resupply. You can actually go through Urazovo, and then actually go through Troitsky, and then moving all the roads south through Nizian, Duvanka to Sviatove, and then they can actually move down this P66 major highway to reinforce Crimea, and this is actually a very fast, very short path for reinforcement from Russia itself. This is Russia itself. So, which is why the Ukrainians are very desperate to cut this road, this P66 highway, to cut reinforcement to Crimea. But however, the Ukrainians tentatively kind of stuck in this region. So the Ukrainians have been trying to attack Ploshchanka, Shevno-Popivka. They have been trying to attack directly towards Crimea, and currently they are getting some success in the south through this forest region. As you can see. However, currently the Russians are actually doing a very good defense around here, they are able to hold. And in fact, they have already pushed back the front line to this line here. Shevardnadne here also is the same. The situation here is similar, where the Russians actually hold a very good defense. So the road is still unmolested. The Ukrainians currently is a little bit out of ideas, because they have been trying really hard to, you know, break through. But after 1-2 months of trying, 3 months of trying, they still have not break this line of defense yet. So the Russians are deliberately holding their lines, and they're not really, you know, making very major push to recapture Liman, which is a lot more difficult to defend because it's surrounded by forests. Yeah, that's the situation here in the northern part of the eastern front. You know, this entire area here, is like the eastern front. So that is the situation here. And then over at the Sivas front, Sivas is the other, you know, major hub within a small major hub within this region here, and Sivas is like the nerve center for the Ukrainians defense around this region, where the Ukrainians from here, they can actually resupply the front line. They can actually attack and resupply the front line in this way. And because it's a hub, there is a highway they can use all the way through the highway. They can actually reinforce very easily. So, you know, they can also go through here and can, yeah. So this is why Sivas is important, why the Russians want to capture it. Because if you can capture this area here, so if the Russians are able to capture Sivas, they can capture Sivas, then the Ukrainians will not be able to, you know, hold any of this area here. They will have to fall back to this line in order to defend. So which is why Sivas is actually the major focus in the Sivas front, which is why it's a front by itself. So this is Sivas front. And over at the Bakhmut city, is Bakhmut city, in case you're lost already. We are now around the center of the eastern front. Particularly, we are in the northern part of the Donetsk region. This Donetsk region, in case this Donetsk region, centered by Donetsk city, in the northern part of Donetsk region. And in the Bakhmut is yet another major hub. As you can see, so many roads, so many tentacles moving out of it. So you can see this road moving out. There's a road here, there's a road here, there's a road, there's a road. This is just like an octopus. So which is why this is actually very important, and which is why the Russians are putting a lot of effort in this region. The fighting here is mainly fought with the private military contractors, the Wagner group. So the Russian Wagner group is actually operating around this region, and they have some success capturing this major town or city of Soledar. So the Russian forces with a pincer around this region, and then they captured through Soledar, and at this moment they are currently attacking Krasnohora, Paraskovievka around here. And they are actually attacking in the north, in the northeast, from the east, from the southeast, and they are also attacking from the south. So you can see that the Ukrainian situation here, as they hold the line around here, is extremely pressured. There is not exactly a very comfortable situation for the Ukrainians. As you can see, they are already semi-encircled. And if you look at the roads, so you must understand roads are very important if you are new to military stuff. Logistics is very important, because if you do not have the roads, then you cannot get your food, water, equipment, clothing, reinforcements. So then you are unable to fight. You know, without even the basic comforts of life, just to stay alive, you can't win any war. So which is why all these roads are very important, which is why we have this this black mapping, which shows the roads much clearer. And this road is already unusable, the northern road, as the Russians have already, you know, fought in the northern part of this road here. In the southern road, this southern road is entirely conquered by the Russians. So this is also unusable. So there's only two main road left for the Ukrainians. So it is only this road here and this road here. So towards Chasiv, and then there's another one going towards Konstantinivka. So you can see this is another major city which is yet another hub. So this is the other roads that the Ukrainians need to hold. No need to go this way, or then the other road out is through this way to Chasiv. So this is the two main roads, and there is a railway here. As you can see, the red line. This is a railway. So the railway actually consistently send troops around to this Chasiv region, and the railway also can go to Konstantinivka, which is why these two are very important. There is railway used to come to Bakhmut, but it's not really used. Usually they send to Chasiv, and then they actually enter Bakhmut from this way, because the railway roads is actually unusable, because the other areas is actually captured and controlled by the Russian forces. So this is Bakhmut. South of Bakhmut, things are also very complicated for the Ukrainians, because the Russians have already make push out of this town of Klishchiivka, and from here they actually push up in this way to northwestward to westward. They are moving in this way, and from Kodyumivka they are actually moving towards Lilievka. So the Russians are spanning out from Klishchiivka, and this actually is very dangerous because it threatens Ivanivsky, which is one of the major retreat routes or resupply route to Bakhmut. So this is why the Klishchiivka breakthrough is pretty important for the Russian sides. And so let me clear this. Okay, so so that's the Bakhmut front for you. This area here is known as the New York front. So New York. And you didn't. If you feel that this sounds a lot like the American New York City, yes, this place is actually named after the American New York City. That's why it's called New York. And so the Russians have a different name for it, which I forgot the name. So it's not important. I will always call it New York for now. And this front is largely very quiet, because the Ukrainians actually have a very, very strong defense line around here. Extremely strong defense line, which is why the Russians don't really want to try to break through from this region here. They did try to attack once in a while to try to see if the Ukrainians are still there, but largely they do not think that it's possible to break through. As you can see, all these icons are actually existing fortifications. You can see there's trenches, defenses all around here. As you can see, these are all pre-war trenches. That means these trenches are already there before the war even have started. This is so-called remnants or preparations during the Ukraine Civil War with the Donbass rebels, which is why this line here is extremely hard to break through, which is why the Russians don't really want to try around this region. And breaking through here also do not serve a lot of strategic purpose, because this is not actually a transport hub like Konstantinivka is. As you can see, the road here is pathetic. It's not very useful for the Russians to capture this. It's probably better to just go around it. Like capturing Konstantinivka would actually render the entire northern resupply route to become paralyzed. And the Russians can also go from the south and capture the H20 highway here, this road here, and that will also cripple the entire defenses around here. So the New York front, particularly at the Tosca, New York City region, they only had two supply routes. So it's not like they have a lot of the Ukrainians have a very, very good position. There is a very strong defense line around here. It is a very strong defense line, but the resupply route is only 1 and 2, just like this, with a smaller road here and here to link up, and that's it. So if the Russians are able to cut this road, cut this road, and if they can even cut this junction here, the entire region here would be wasted, would be entirely encircled, to put it that way. So which is why, you know, the Russians do not really focus on this area that much. The fighting, you can see they are ignoring this area. They're moving up from the north, and from the south you can see there's a fighting icon here where the Russians are actually fighting from the south of it. They largely ignore Torres and New York. And but this region, the fighting in the south of New York region, is actually, you know, important for yet another important stronghold, which is Avdiivka. So Avdiivka is actually an important Ukrainian fortress. So the Ukrainian actually, you know, this is one of those pre-war Ukrainian positions that, despite a lot of attempts during this war, the Russians are unable to break through. This is like a fortress. This is literally the most hardest place to conquer right now in Ukraine. So the Russians are unable to really break through. They did try they did try, you know, to attack through Kamyanka, and tentatively they also trying through Spartak, but it's not much result. Heavy bombardments within this region did not really yield much result as well. The Ukrainians continue to be able to use this position within Avdiivka to to fire artillery shells and missiles or rockets into the Russian controlled territory or the Donbas region. So this is what is happening. And so the Russians are devising a different way now. Tentatively, what is happening around Avdiivka is that the Russians are attacking Krasnohorivka here. They are attacking here, this direction. And they're also attacking through this region, which I always call the Pisky region, named after Pisky. So from Pisky, they actually attack to Pervomayske, Vodian, Opine, and also through Spartak, through Opine. And the Russians have been, you know, fanning out from this region here. They have been fanning out, and they have just captured Vodian just over the past 24 to 48 hours. And they are also pushing out from Pervomayske, and this is Nevelske. They are also attacking Nevelske around here. So if you look at this, and you can see that there's only one major road coming out here. And of course there's also the railway, which is going through into Avdiivka, which I'm not sure if this railway is actually operational. But this actually only this major road coming through Olivka. So the Ukrainians need to secure this road and these smaller roads. And should Krasnohorivka fall, should this fall, then there's only one road left, which is this road. And if this road also fall, then Avdiivka will be stranded or operationally encircled, which is why the Russian aim is actually to do a pincer in this way and capture, you know, take out all these positions all around Avdiivka, and the Ukrainian forces within Avdiivka will be entirely encircled. So this is what's happening at Avdiivka, and I'm quite sure the Ukrainians know this very well. So which is why they are putting a lot of effort to reinforce this region to prevent this from happening. However, there is still a breakthrough at Vodian, to the dismay of the Ukrainians. So as you can see, this icon is actually a reinforcement icon. So the Ukrainians continue to try to reinforce and try to do their best. A lot of Ukrainian soldiers have died trying to protect this region because of how vulnerable Avdiivka actually is should all this region fall. So the situation at Krasnohorivka is also very difficult, with the pro-Ukrainian source Deep State UA reporting that the situation here is actually very difficult for the Ukrainians. So that actually also corroborates that the Russians are indeed trying to, you know, do this pincer movement to encircle Avdiivka. So that's Avdiivka for you. And over at this Donetsk city, so now Avdiivka is here. So now in the western part of Donetsk city is Marinka. So Marinka is one of those towns that was heavily contested even before the war started, and until and it's so heavily fortified and so heavily contested that until today the Russians still unable to manage to capture the entire of Marinka just yet. The Ukrainians continue to send reinforcement in to fight and prevent the fall of Marinka, because this is actually it's like a small hub. It's like a small hub. You can see the roads moving out from this way, and it links to Donetsk city, and this way through this entire line of towns. So Marinka is that kind of some sort of a hub as well. It's very important for this place to hold. If it doesn't hold, the Russians will be able to fan out from this region, and this will create a lot of defensive headache for the Ukrainian forces. As you can see, this just farmlands and just major roads around this region here. So this is Marinka, and there's not a lot to talk about Marinka because it's always stuck. This region has been fought over for so long that it almost no one actually believe there will be any changes to this region here. Then we have, going further south of this region, there is this region at Voleda. So this Voleda is a lot of high-rise building, and because due to how they are all high-rise and the area around here is pretty flat, this is like a fortress. It's like a castle for the Ukrainians, and with the control of Voleda, the Ukrainians are able to have a good view of the entire region here, and they are able to resupply and control this region pretty well, and they can also fire upon any enemy troops that actually venture into the firing range around Voleda. However, this does not stop the Russians to actually push and capture Pelivka and Mikhailsky, and they are currently attacking this region, around this region, which also shows that the situation for the Ukrainians are not looking particularly very well, because despite having such a strong position at Voleda, the Russians are still making progress. So this shows the strain on the Ukrainian military side. Then the Russians, this entire line, this is a highway. Usually when you have a major road or a road around, it can form a very good defense line because resupply and troop movement can be done in both directions easily. This is how it works. So which is why defense lines tend to be along the road in settlements, because you have buildings. So you have buildings and roof over the head. It's easier for the soldiers to kind of have their rest and have some shelter. Similarly, if you go to the north, this entire chain of towns is likely to be another chain of defense line, and so if this line fall, the Ukrainian forces will actually have to fall back to a temporary holding ground at Vodian, Bohoyanlenka, and then this entire line here. So this is the situation here. The Voleda line has been stuck here for more than half a year already. So any progress in this line can be quite significant because it's so heavily defended. Any breakthrough is actually hard won. So that's what the Voleda line is in the Donetsk front. So this entire area is the Donetsk front. Then we come to the Zaporizhia line. So the Zaporizhia line is actually consists of 4 major cities or towns: Kayamsky, Orekhiv, Huyaipole, and Velika Novosilka. So these are the 4 towns, and each of these towns have roads linking up to this major road. Let me show you this major road. Moving towards the eastern front, towards Donetsk, and from Velika Novosilka, it links up to this road here. You can see, or you can actually go through here, and the Russians will want to, you know, cut the road to prevent reinforcement. The other road is actually, you know, through Huyaipole, this way up towards Pokrov, and from Orikhiv they actually can go through up to Mykolaiivka, and for Kayamsky it links directly to Zaporizhia, and they can actually go around Zaporizhia towards the north to this junction here, and the Russians will definitely want to take out all these places. As long as any one of these line breaks and the Russians able to have a position along any part of this highway, the entire route will become useless for the Ukrainians to resupply towards the Eastern Front, which is why the Voleda line is so important, and the Ukrainians are actually doing whatever they can to actually reinforce it and hold this line. The Russians recently just launched a major offensive along the Zaporizhia line, and they attacked around this region here of Mali Shebaki and Shebaki, and around Orikhiv region and Malatoshmashka, and this is where they first attacked. There was a limited attack over here on the eastern side of Huyaipole, and in the latest report they also, you know, are attacking around this region here. So there is also rumors of fighting for Kayamsky around here. So you can see that the Russians are pushing the entire line here, and the Ukrainians are desperately, you know, making sure that the line must hold. The line must hold, which is so currently the battle is raging around this region here at Zaporizhia. So this is basically the Zaporizhia front. The Russians are also trying to push Velika Novosilka, and as well as Novosilka in this area here. Similarly, the Ukrainians have been very successful at holding back the Russians in this region. So it's pretty much a stalemate, but the action has only just started in the Zaporizhia line, Zaporizhia region, and so you know what the Russians are fighting for, what the Ukrainians are fighting for, is for this road. This is the main road. So that's for Zaporizhia. And over at the Kherson Mykolaiv region, so this is Kherson Oblast. So this area here is Kherson Oblast. This is Mykolaiv Oblast. Oblast means area or region. And this Kherson region, the Russians have already given up this entire parcel of land north of this river. This river is the Dnieper River, or the Dnipro River. They have already given up the entire northern part because it's very hard to defend. So by blowing up the bridge here, and the other bridge over here at Antonivka has been already broken, so there's no easy way to cross the river now, which is why it becomes a very easily defendable region here. And the Russians are definitely not preparing for any offensive to try to go up north to cross the river to attack like this. That will kind of defeat the purpose of retreating at the first place. And for the Ukrainians, they do dream of trying to, you know, invade southward. So there is information of some raids coming up over here. There is also some attempt at landing at the Kimbunspurt around here. So far all these attempts has not been successful. So which is why I don't expect any major success or changes over in this region, in the Kherson front, or what I used to call this the southern front. So in terms of Crimea, this, in case you're wondering, Crimea has been annexed by the Russians for 8 years already. So it's pretty much just like any part of Russia. It's a Russian land now. So if you are expecting Russia to give up this land, is impossible. It's literally impossible. Russia will go to war against any country that dares to, you know, land or invade into Crimea itself. And who knows, Russia might use nuclear weapon, although the Russians say that they will not be the first to use nuclear weapon. So that's all. And in case you are wondering what is this badly drawn banana looks like, this place is actually Transnistria. or officially named as a Penestrovian Moldovan Republic. It's actually a breakaway republic from Moldova. So this is Moldova. As you can see, this Moldova. This area is a breakaway republic. So these are all remnants from the Soviet era. So they used to be one country or one republic under the Soviet Union, the USSR. However, as USSR collapsed, all the different republics start to try to gain their own independence, become their own country, and the Transnistria region used to be the richest region in Moldova, and they decided that we just want to be our own country. We don't want the rest of the poor Moldova, and they tried to break away, and they fought the civil war. Russia came in as a peacekeeper and maintained peace within this region in a very comfortable peace settlement. People can cross in and out. However, Moldova is more connected to the west, and they are able to do export. So now Moldova is the richer party. Transnistria is just like a backwater kind of thing. One of the poorest state in the world. So that's Transnistria. But why is there a mapping here? Is because there is a few thousand, maybe 2,000 or even 3,000 Russian troops within Transnistria. They are there as peacekeepers, and the Ukrainians have been trying to make a big deal out of this Russian force within Transnistria, claiming that the Russians will use this force here to invade into Ukraine. But any person with a sane mind will know that 2,000-3,000 troops is not going to do anything. They will be easily wiped out by the Ukrainian forces, numbering in the tens or hundreds of thousands. So the Russians did not use them in this special military operation. They just remain chill within Transnistria. But the one of the significant thing about Transnistria is that there is some major ammo dump within Transnistria from the Soviet era. There's a lot of bombs and ammunition within Transnistria. There is all still underground. So the Ukrainians are very itching, to try to get it, but they do not dare to invade into Transnistria because Moldova recognize Transnistria as part of their territory. So invading into Transnistria would essentially be invading into Moldova as well. So it's a very complicated diplomatic situation here. So Ukraine have been trying to entice Moldova into war. Like they have been telling Moldova, we can help you to conquer Transnistria, just tell us, we will help you. And try to tempt Moldova into attacking Transnistria so that it can give Ukraine the excuse to invade into Transnistria to capture all these Soviet era ammo dumps. Moldova did not bite. So Moldova did not take all these temptations. However, Moldova continues to become more and more anti-Russia as they try to suck up to the Ukraine, to the West. So there's multiple protests already in Moldova against the policies of the government. But Moldova is not in any time close to a collapse anytime soon. So no need to really care too much about Moldova at this moment. So otherwise, in terms of the macro situation, the Belarus have reformed the entire military with the help of Russia. So there's a major Russian force within Belarus now, and they actually mix with the Belarusian forces to form combined forces within Belarus. From my perspective, this is likely for the Russians to actually protect the front lines of Belarus against the Baltic states, and particularly Poland. So if it's just Belarusian military itself, Russia do not feel safe because Belarusian military is not known to be very powerful. So with the combined force with Russian forces, it actually represents a much more secure defense and deterrence against a potential invasion from Poland, because Poland might invade into Belarus as an excuse to help Ukraine and to weaken the other flank of Russia. And Belarus is like a weak spot for Russia as well. It's like the Italy for Nazi Germany. So if this happens, then the Russians will be fighting on two fronts. So that will not be good, which is why the Russians are actually making the effort to secure and making sure that this line this Belarusian country continue to stay intact. The Ukrainians themselves are very worried of invasion from the Russian and Belarusian military from the north, cutting away the entire western part of Ukraine, so that which means that the Ukrainians will not be able to get resupplied or troops or heavy equipments into the front line. Tentatively, even the Ukrainians themselves say that tentatively it doesn't look likely that this will happen. And the border region between Russia and Ukraine here, all the way to Kharkiv, remain tense, but the Ukrainians also did not really expect the Russians to invade anytime soon. In their daily report, they do report that there is no sign of Russian build-up within this region that will cause an invasion from the north again or to Kharkiv. Tentatively, this also has not seemed to be the case. But do be mindful that half of the mobilized troops, so Russia mobilized 300,000 troops. This 300,000 troops, only half is deployed in this region here. So the Russians still have a lot of capabilities, and they have been transporting a lot of heavy equipments all across Russia to the Ukraine front here, and at any time the Russians may actually get up and then invade in. At any time they could do it, they can do it. So so it is something that we are watching. A lot of people are expecting the Russians to invade from the north again, or through Belarus, to capture Lviv and Lutsk. But tentatively, this is not a reality just yet. So that's that. And there's also you may, for those that you're new to this war, or you are just casual reader of this war, you might hear a lot about the possible Russian landing on Odessa region, where the Russians will actually do a amphibious landing, like D-Day like this, and then they can actually conquer Odessa, and launch a new front and capture Mykolaiv. No, this is very unlikely to be the case. The reason because the Black Sea Fleet is not exactly a very it's not exactly a fleet that is very well designed for amphibious assault. There is limited amphibious capability. They do have landing ships and everything, but it's not huge enough to do a D-Day landing kind of thing. If any of these troop ships getting sunk, that would mean a tremendous loss for the Russian side. So the Russians are very conservative. They are not doing something like this. And not to mention at Istanbul, this crossing here, this crossing, I tentatively forgot the name of this crossing. I think this crossing here between the Mediterranean Sea to the Black Sea, this crossing currently is closed to military ships. No Russian ships can enter or exit, nor any other military ships from NATO, US, or anyone. No military ships can now go through this area here. So this area here, they cannot cross. You cannot cross in, you cannot go out. You can't do any of it. So which is why the Russians, even if they want to do an amphibious landing on Odessa, they can't do it because they cannot get reinforcement from the other fleets to come in to reinforce and then to do a landing. They can't do that as well. So amphibious landing is unlikely to happen for this war between Ukraine and Russia, unless the Ukrainians do something silly, like totally not defend Odessa, like they redeploy their forces elsewhere from this region so badly that and so far away, like they just redeploy until so far away that there is unlikely to return quickly to defend. Then we can actually believe that there might be a possibility that the Russians might actually do a surprise landing to capture ground in order to take advantage of the weakened defense. But if that's not the case, then I don't think the Russians will actually try any amphibious landing. So otherwise, I think I covered basically everything in this war. So if you are new to this war and you just wanted to start to monitor or start to follow this war or follow Defense Politics Asia's coverage of the Ukraine war, this video should give you a very good foundation to understand what the hell is happening. Because when I do the report, the daily report is daily, so things are very slow from day to day, and I will not be repeating a lot of these things that I've mentioned on the daily basis, which is why sometimes you might get lost over the time. You do not exactly know why they're fighting. So with this video, I believe you have a very strong foundation to understanding what is this war all about, and why are the fighting happening in the way they are happening. So thank you for watching. Do press the subscribe button, especially if you are new to this channel. Hope this helped you a lot. And for the existing viewers who already have been following me for some time and still watch this video, thank you for watching. And do press the like button to spread this to more people. And also, the SITREP is actually reported on the DPA War channel. I will also do the analysis. This time around, I think I will change the analysis videos to be put on the main channel and the SITREP on the DPA War channel. So I think so that the main channel still have some Ukraine war news. So I'm trying to do some way to make sure that the algorithms I maximize the potential of the channels to reach as much people as possible, to gain as much revenue as possible, so that we can continue to cover this war. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.